I'm going to talk about compassion. I think it's a really intriguing notion, and I've heard some people talk about compassion as an innate quality. For me, compassion is something that is realized through absolute action between people. Compassion is enabled when two people start talking, and within that talking, in that conversation, something starts to occur, and then compassion can start manifesting. So another way of looking at this, which I'm really passionate about, is the situations that we find ourselves working within, whatever organisation, institute, that might be healthcare or education. It needs to be an environment that engenders the space where open communication can happen, because it's only then we can get into a relational quality with each other when compassion can actually start manifesting. So compassion isn't so much an innate quality, it's like a quality of being a human being that's waiting in potential to happen. And it can happen and flourish in fertile environments where we can do that. And that can be a really busy acute ward and hospital. It could be a really quiet space. But it's having that potential that honours us as human beings to flourish in our communications with each other. So that's really how I understand compassion. If I think about what it actually looks like, it's in the detail. And I'm going to give an example in my own personal experience. A few years ago, I had a bad kidney infection. I was in hospital, and everyone was fabulous in terms of the skills. I can't remember any of that. But on the second night, when I was having my IV antibiotics, this rather tall Chinese male nurse came in, put his drugs into my arm through the Venflon in my arm. And what he did has stayed with me for the last 2 to 3 years, because nobody else did it in the 48 hours, is he opened the curtain and he looked at me and he said, "Dr. Crowther, I hope you have a really good night's sleep tonight." Even thinking about it now, and that was about 2 or 3 years ago, that was a moment when compassion was revealed to me. All the other skills were very important. I needed to feel safe. But in order to feel valued as a human being, and also to value the expertise of that nurse, I needed that human interaction. It could be eye contact, just one sentence, or just providing some privacy. We're not talking about vast differences in action. We're just talking about tuning into the people. Now, the other side of compassion that I wanted to touch upon, I believe that organisation institutions have a certain mood that prevails the organisation or institution. And if that mood or that feeling is one of fear and anxiety, that will translate into how people within that organisation understand and interpret what they do, and therefore the actions that they do in that organisation. If you just imagine for one moment, if you worked in an organisation that was flourishing in a mood of trust and a joy of practice, how would your daily life be in a healthcare practice situation going into that type of mood? You would interpret that world and understand that world in a really different way. There's a brief example. Someone's publishing some research in the north of England. Look at allied healthcare professionals, particularly nurses and midwives. These are school leavers who've gone through their education, just about to embark on a whole career in healthcare. They were asked how they felt about going into the NHS. And many of them said they felt anxiety and fear. So we can only but imagine how they're going to understand and interpret their future careers on day one as they start. So we need to move on. So if we're talking about compassion, it needs to be in a fertile environment. It needs to be attuned to something that's opening, trusting and allowing, so that compassion can actually manifest between people. It's not what's so much inside us, it's what's going on between us. It's in that space that compassion can occur.